This is the Segovia Show.
Hi everyone, and welcome to an informal installment of the Segovia Show. For those of you that don't follow me on the socials, particularly Instagram, you're not actually used to this setup. It's not a setup. I'm just literally in my home gym. And I was supposed to work out today. I haven't worked out in a while. And I'll explain why here in a bit. But for those that are unawares and don't follow me across the socials, you should. Please do. You're missing out on a lot of other content. I tend to just talk to the camera at times in what I call coffee breaks. The coffee breaks are at random times. It could be in the morning, it could be afternoon. It could even be very late at night, such as now. Right now, it's sometime past midnight. And yeah, I have coffee late, but that's not why I'm still up. I had some things that I needed to do because believe me, the past week, the schedules have just been completely messed up. So the episode that I was supposed to air in place of this is not ready for prime time. So I actually got to retool that one and possibly do the whole thing all over again. And with that means the tech unboxings that I have, I got to push back yet again. So for those of you that are patiently or impatiently waiting for my tech unboxings of things, I'm getting around to it. It's just, for those of you that have actually seen my Instagram live streams that I tend to do from my home gym, the lighting is better now because I had new lights put in finally because the fluorescent lights were broken. So upgraded them big time, and now I could actually see things in the garage at night. So like, yeah, it's gonna make these videos a little better a little easier on the eyes. But you're still looking at me, so yeah. Anyway, this is how I conduct myself on just these random lives. I take questions on the air, or I talk about just things that are going on, and I think that's kind of why I wanted to talk to all of you, including all of you across the podcast platforms that are tuning in. Thank you so much for that. And it's been an interesting week. That's I would say month that's affected a lot of how I'm trying to approach the content that I'm generating. And of course, there's stuff happening in my personal life that have altered some of that schedule. Like, for example, I was supposed to work out tonight. I had other busy work to do. That's good. But I've been having to sleep with my wrist wrapped because I slept on it wrong. I wish I could tell you that I was lifting heavy and I screwed that up and I injured my wrist. Nope, that's not what happened. I literally slept on my wrist and I messed it up. And a couple of nights later, I slept on it wrong again. And like, dude, I gotta put a splint on this or I'm gonna really aggravate it. Well, it didn't take that long. I think it was by the fifth night when I slept on it wrong again. It was the pain was just unbearable. So I've been sleeping with my wrist wrapped for the past, I would say 3 nights, and it's considerably better. But well, yeah, that's what happens. And just like I said, crazy schedules, late night sleeping, kids waking up in the middle of the night for XYZ reasons and things like that. My priority goal is to try to get my sleep in check. That's not happening, but at least I'm trying something. But why am I talking to the camera right now at sometime past midnight? if I'm supposed to be trying to sleep earlier, believe me, I got a lot of busy work to do. So with that, that's why an episode that I had produced is not going up. I have to redo it. That one I was reacting to an article that's talking about people or certain groups and demographics need to be property owners, which is good. I want to hear that, and that's right up my alley. When I talk about business, I mostly talk about real estate and economic policies that do affect my field of work, from the construction side to the real estate side. And being in California, all sides are under attack, so I highlight those things. But the fast and furious nature of the news that keeps coming out from both Sacramento and the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors is absolutely bonkers. It's so hard to keep up with all of it. That's really made it difficult to prioritize information. So I've turned to social media updates and pushes, but the audience is not all there. They're not on all on one place, for example. And I'm trying to get as much news as I can out there just for people to be aware. Because, well, like me, and I'm sure you probably have this for yourself, you have a life to live. We can't keep up with all this and the continued distractions that we get from Washington. Or like that's what's actually affecting our very backyard. No, we have multiple different governments affecting us right now. There's a great line from the film The Patriot.
Would you tell me, please, Mr. Howard, why should I trade one tyrant 3,000 miles away for 3,000 tyrants 1 mile away?
Pretty much feels the same way right now, where a lot of us give more attention to what's happening in Washington, D.C., that we forget that we have the municipalities at the city level, then at the county level, and then the state level that are basically doing an onslaught every single day because you are not paying attention. And that's what I've been trying to give more attention to. And even that's like, I wish I could digest all this information and be able to, just to inform you of it. So I have to pick and choose my battles. I highlight Sacramento whenever I feel it's absolutely necessary for the podcast to be made awares. But I've been having to look more localized. Recently, LA has been the big one because they're supposed to be terminating the emergency order, so that with respects to the eviction moratorium and this big scare about an eviction tsunami, so-called. Some of that is made by the city and the county, and they're trying to put the stops all into it. And I guess just to give you an overview, let's just say the LA County Board of Supervisors is trying to make this permanent. The supposed COVID emergency orders permanent. Yeah. And what that spells is just basically the entire collapse of the real estate industry in Southern California, because LA is just gonna it's gonna filter over and affect everything else around it like a cancer, which it already does. But that's all to say that there's a lot of stuff going on, and I guess this is why I kind of felt that this is the episode that I was gonna do live on Instagram, and instead I said, you know what, why don't I just put this up for everybody? So for those of you in the podcast, you're not missing out on much visually. So if you're watching on the video platforms, then I guess just seeing me sit down at the gym is, I'll stand up a little bit. So changes the scenery a little. Not that much, but if you haven't seen the walkthrough of my gym, I actually done it, and it's on Instagram, so I recommend you check it out so I don't retread that old territory. Follow me at the Andres Segovia across every social except Twitter. That one's _ Andres Segovia. I wish they could do more than 15 characters so I could get the Andres Segovia there. That'd be complete, but not there yet. So anyway, I guess what I wanted to highlight is that I also like highlighting, at least on my socials, big news items that no one really talks about. And recently, I've been talking a lot about the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. So if you haven't yet heard about that, which you should have by now, I'm assuming everybody's heard of it. But the first news clipping I put up on that after, it's like, dude, it's 10 days and no one's really talking about it. And my father, who's a much bigger news junkie than I am, when I asked him, have you heard about this train derailment? It's almost 2 weeks ago. He's like, no, I don't know anything about this. Like, exactly, we have a freaking mini Chernobyl in East Palestine, Ohio. There's even articles and stories of people showering with bottled water because you see what's in the water over there. The government says, oh yeah, the EPA says it's safe to drink. Okay, you first. I've been having to highlight things on social media that I feel that are part of I don't want to call it the culture war, but there really is no other description for it. And it's something that I've kind of done since I first started doing this. It's going to be, almost 20 years ago that I started. Started email newsletter, morphed into a blog, morphed into a podcast, that morphed into its own website, then a newsreel, thanks to the microblogging of the early days of Twitter, into what is now known today. Major updates at the website, by the way, so hope you like the changes. It'll be much easier for me to be updating things there. So I hope you check it out, theandressegovia.com. And well, let's just say that there's a lot going on, and instead of talking about the pertinent things, we're more like, oh, did you see that balloon? Yeah, smoke and mirrors, folks. Keep your ears to the ground. It's there is a lot going on, and the division among our fellow Americans is great. And there are people that genuinely need help, and they're not getting the help. And with all this talk about, a lot of the elements are because people are not housed. So you'll hear a lot more push about the housing affordability crisis and how do we solve the housing affordability, the housing shortage that we have, and this and that. And they try to say we need to build more housing, build more housing. It's just an all-encompassing term that means nothing, honestly, the way it's being used. The same people saying that the problem that we have right now is the lack of home ownership, especially among the minority demographics like yours truly, are pushing this, are the same publications that were pushing not to buy a home because you're hurting the environment. And now they're telling you because you're not owning your own home, you're hurting the environment. You got to pick a freaking lane, okay? Seriously, pick one, because you keep changing the stories. Now it's like you should be buying a house. Okay, now they can't afford it because the interest rates are too high. So what do we do with all this? And I've been trying to. I feel like a freaking salmon having to swim upstream against the narrative that's always being put out there, whether it's business, economics, politics, and all that stuff. And now it's like, okay, you're making a good point. You mean you're coming at it the wrong way, but you're finally agreeing with what I've been saying, because I've been having to push back against the lies about owning a home is not a good investment. Actually, it's a very bad thing, and you're being very selfish if you want to own your own home. That's not just coming from business publications and big newspapers, that have no business weighing in on this. This is coming from actual business investors too. They say, no, it's not a good investment. Why? So you can buy it up through companies like BlackRock and stuff. That's what has been happening. And now it's like, you need to buy your own home. Well, there's nothing left out there, especially when a bunch of Californians are leaving from here to buy elsewhere. I saw recently, before I started recording this, about 500,000 people have left LA. I didn't see if it was like an annual thing. Like in the past year, 500,000 had left Los Angeles. Gee, I wonder why. I don't doubt it for a second, because I've been talking about the mass exodus out of California, Cal exit. California exodus, Cal exit is a whole other thing, and it could be a thing. You might not, if you haven't heard about Cal exit. I'm trying to get one of those folks on the podcast. I haven't seen him do an interview in years, but I like to bring him on the show to be able to discuss these things, because how realistic is it that California will be split into at least 2 states? How realistic is that? More realistic than you think, but hey, don't give me hope. I don't know what I'm going to keep talking about that, but the point is, like I said, there's a lot going on, and in some cases, all I can do is what I do with my little family. It's like, hey, let's pray. That's all we can do. Sometimes I just feel like there's nothing else left, but it shouldn't be like prayer is the last thing, the last resort. No, prayer should be our first and the last, because pray without ceasing. But there might be lots of you that don't even believe in any of that. Keep your prayers; they do nothing. All right, so be it. So be it. But for those of you that know the power of prayer and know about something that transpired in my personal life last year, I can tell you that the power of prayer is real. And that's someone that grew up Christian and has been Christian half of his life, at least. Sometimes I'm still reminded of it at this late stage in my life. But anywho, this is sometimes how it goes. I just talking to the camera. Normally I get involvement from the audience when I do it live. This isn't live, so it's just me. But it just felt needed to come from the heart in this one, unprepared, no notes. It's just a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about, and well, this is my outlet, so there it is. Anyway, when you're seeing this, it should be, or listening to this should be a Monday. And I hate Mondays, but I really hope that your Monday is going well. Thanks so much for tuning in. You're interested in other off-the-cuff live streams, I recommend you follow me on Instagram for those, for behind-the-scenes stuff. I do giveaways there too, but more, I guess, the hard-hitting stuff, more one-on-one, if you will. That would be locals, join my locals community, and that's where the stuff is. And keep an eye on Substack. because my articles are going over there now. But check out my updated website. Worked hard on it. So, theundersegovia.com. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next one.